have been playing Ghost of Yotei for the past couple of days, and it made sense that I would go ahead and check it out because back in 2020, I went ahead and checked out Tsushima when that came out, and I loved the game. I thought the stuff was really good, the combat was really good, the acting, the pacing, the voice acting, everything about the game for Ghost of Tsushima was just genuinely masterclass. Sucker Punch is one of the studios that is under the Sony belt that genuinely shows that they are masters of their craft. They know what they're doing. They made the Infamous series. I'm still waiting for them to come back to Sly Cooper. Any day now, it's gonna happen. Please bring back Sly Cooper. I would absolutely love that. Then they made Ghost of Tsushima. It was a huge success and it did really well for a lot of players. And when they announced that Yotei was going to be coming out in 2025, I was very excited to see what they were going to do and see what they brought to the table for the franchise moving forward. I had obviously talked about before a lot of the criticisms that people had made before the release of the game, and now that the game is out, the game has been facing a lot more critiques, and they're not even really all that valid. So we're gonna get into that today with the first tweet that I had found showing Best Buy, and it's basically just the stand where there are a bunch of unsold physical copies of Ghost of Yotei. And I want to say that this is already very disingenuous because of the fact that if you have been paying attention to gaming outlets and analysts in the last 5 years or so, you would already know, even if you don't pay attention to that, you just are someone who is within the gaming community sphere. You are already aware of the fact that physical copy sales have been going down drastically over the past 5 years, and not even in just the last 5 years, but even before then. They just have accelerated so quickly since the last 5 years, because 5 years ago in 2020 was when the start of the pandemic actually happened. And even just last year in 2024, this was posted by Legacy Killa. He had posted a screenshot of Matt Piscatella showing a whole graph of physical video game software consumer spending by year, and it has been going down significantly year by year since around 2008. And yeah, year by year, copies for physical sales have been going down significantly. So when I saw this tweet being made in a response, in a reply for Smash JT, where the tweet is basically just leave the multi-billion-dollar company alone, and it's like, shut up, dude. You're not even critiquing the game at this point. Did you even play the game, I wonder? I would imagine he probably didn't play the game at all. And then I saw a tweet made by Wargaming Dad on Twitter, and he pointed me to a tweet where it's Endymion once again, who I've mentioned before in the past, and he's talking about how Christopher Dring, who is a games journalist reporter who talked about Ghost of Yotei, and Christopher Dring started talking about how Ghost of Yotei apparently sold or is down by 40% in terms of physical sales in the UK. And already this is very disingenuous because even though he's showing this screenshot where he's specifically talking about physical sales in just the UK, it's down by 40% apparently. And it's like, number one, that's pretty typical because, like I said, physical copy sales have been going down for a very, very long time to begin with. So he's already leaving out that little piece of information to begin with anyways. Then he leaves out the fact that later on in this series of tweets and responses, Christopher Dring even points out the fact that digital sales markets have been accelerated significantly over the past 5 years. So he's just leaving out a bunch of information. He's being disingenuous, and he's just spreading lies and misinformation that fits for what he's trying to go for. He's just trying to spin a narrative for what he's trying to go for specifically. And we see that once again with Smash JT, where he made a tweet and he started talking about PSN profiles. And if you don't know what PSN profiles is, it's basically just a website where you're able to sync and link your PSN account to the website so that way you can actively track your trophies, even though there's a way to do that within the console and in the game itself. PSN profiles essentially does the exact same thing, but you're actually able to go onto a website and it shows a bunch of other people's profiles and the games that they've completed, the trophies that they've gotten, yada yada yada. For some reason, Smash JT decides to go ahead and go on PSN profiles, and it shows at that time that only 3,000 people are apparently owners of the game. So only around 3,000 people actually have bought and played the game according to PSN profiles. Of course, he tries to backpedal a little bit and defend himself by saying, oh, but just for full transparency, this is only a small percentage of actual owners. And then I think the tweet actually ended up getting community noted, because if you understand how the website works, you have to actively, willingly allow your account to be monitored and give them your data, essentially. After seeing this tweet from Smash DT, I decided to go ahead and make my own response, and I showed a couple of screenshots that I thought were unique in particular, and I showed the PSN Profiles site page of Marvel Spider-Man, and it shows that in terms of game owners, it has over 1 million game owners, so over 1 million people bought the game. But we have official sales numbers for Marvel Spider-Man 1 from Insomniac, and it's the fact that we have 20 million units sold. So how does that correlate? Well, it doesn't, because as I said in my tweet, the website only tracks people who are willingly allowing their accounts to be tracked on the site. And what does the site do? It tracks your trophy progress, and that's all it does. How are we supposed to trust this as a source for how well a game succeeded if only a certain percentage of players have actually decided to allow their accounts to be tracked from the website? I don't know why he decided to go ahead and use this as a source. I mean, I do know it's because he's trying to get people mad. He's trying to, rage beat people, and he's trying to find he's grasping at straws, basically, right? He's grasping at anything that he can get his hands on to prove his point that the game isn't doing well. But number one, we don't even have official sales numbers. Some people have been sharing around a sale number of like over 1 million units sold, but that's not official. That's just someone estimating or guessing that's how many units were sold in like the first like day or two. So we don't have any official sales numbers so far. Moving on though from that, I decided to go ahead and tag along my Spider-Man tweet with another screenshot of Dustborn, which for people who don't know, is this indie game. It was pretty divisive for a lot of players for a few reasons, but anti-woke grifters particularly don't like this game because I think it has some involvement with Sweet Baby Inc. I think it's just mostly because it's known for being a pretty woke-ish game, and that's kind of the reason why they don't like it, because they're anti-woke. And they love showing the Steam count numbers and the fact that they're so low, and that proves that not many people bought and played the game. Despite the fact that it's an indie game, we're not expecting the game to sell like 50 million copies. But regardless of that, we have these PSN Profiles page of the game, and apparently over 500 people bought the game. So if we're going to trust this as a source for how many people have bought the game and have played the game, apparently, including the Steam count numbers, over 500 people have actually bought this game and potentially have played it. So, like what else is there to say? Dustborn didn't do as bad as anti-woke grifters are saying it did, because over 500 people bought this on even just the console version with the PS5. So it didn't do that bad, but it just, anyways, right? It further shows the ridiculousness of trying to use this as a source. It's just Smash DT further trying to grasp at straws. Moving on from that, I want to go back to some of the quote-unquote criticisms that people have been having for this game, and really it's just kind of a bunch of disingenuous posts about mechanics in certain aspects of the game and just not understanding what the game is supposed to be about. And it starts off with Detective Seeds on Twitter, and he had posted just a short little clip of him doing this little cooking mini game where he's cooking a fish, and it's something that you can do when you're at your camp, and sometimes certain missions require for you to actually start cooking your some food just to, just eat food for the context of the mission. And it's something that you can engage with. You don't have to engage with it because there is a button to actually skip it, but it's there for people who want to use the gyroscope on the controllers. It's another use for the PlayStation controller, because so many games have been released on this console and so many of them don't actually utilize the gamepad in any way whatsoever, like the little touchpad on the controller, the gyroscope, the dual senses, the adaptive triggers. There's not a whole lot of games that actually utilize that, and a lot of people critique games for not utilizing those the mechanics of the controller all that much. And for once, we finally have a new game that has come out in recent months that utilizes the controller in cool, unique ways. And for some reason, whenever someone posts a clip of the game utilizing those mechanics, it gets hate. So like I said, Detective Seeds, he posted this clip of him doing this fishing minigame, and people started going after him for no reason, saying this, that, and the other, like, oh, I can do this in real life. Why do I need to go and do this in a video game? And and it's like it's a mini game, right? It's just a way for you to engage with the game and feel immersed with the world and in the setting that you're in. That's all it's for. And if you don't want that, and if you just want to get back to the gameplay, you can do that, because there is a button. There is a button prompt on the screen on the bottom right corner that says skip, and you press the X button and you can skip the minigame. You don't have to do with it. And then, of course, you have someone like Grums who decides to go ahead and quote tweets PlayStation's tweet showing off the Bamboo Strikes minigame that is there in Ghost of Yotei, which is brought back from Ghost of Tsushima. And he talks about how, what the hell is up with these grass cutting, bamboo cutting, fish cooking mini games? They tried this as proof that the game is awesome when they have nothing to do with core gameplay of Ghost of Yotei or Tatsuki Chaz and blah blah blah. And it's like, bro, this was in Ghost of Tsushima, and you talk about how this game is amazing. You praise this game. You and a whole bunch of anti-woke grifters talk about how Ghost of Tsushima is amazing, but then you completely miss the fact that Ghost of Tsushima has a lot of these very similar gameplay mechanics and mini games, just like how Ghost of Yotei does. Something that I forgot to mention while recording is that there actually are benefits to these mini games that people are criticizing and critiquing on Twitter, such as the bamboo mini game and the cooking fish and mushrooms. When you cook at a fire camp, it actually gives you a temporary bonus in game. It gives you a minor bonus or a major bonus for either stealth or combat or utility or whatever. It's random, you can't actually choose. Regardless, the minigame where you're cooking actually serves a purpose. Same thing with the bamboo minigame. Instead of actually getting a buff, you're getting more pips for your spirit gauge and your spirit bars, the little yellow circles in the bottom left corner of the screen right above where your health is. That allows you to be able to use your triangle circle abilities, which are typically unblockable attacks that do major damage against enemies in combat, and also a bunch of other abilities as well. So there actually is benefits to gameplay in these mini games, and there's a reason for you to want to go out and do these things. But for some reason, people on Twitter just wanted to complain about it and say, oh, I could just do this in real life, and it's just like, you're just finding reasons to hate the game for no reason at all. You're just trying to hate the game, and your reasons for hating the game are nonsensical. So you're just further proving that you didn't actually play the games that you're talking about and that you're defending, and you're saying that is better than Ghost of Yotei. You don't actually play games. You don't play games. And then I saw this from a mutual on Twitter, KMed, and he shows a screenshot. I don't know if he found this or not. I'm gonna assume that he probably saw this from someone else, but he found a screenshot of him praising, or of Grums, sorry. He found a screenshot of Grums praising Stellar Blade for having a fishing minigame, and that all games, all the best games, have fishing in them. So, what's the problem, right? Obviously, Ghost of Yotei has to be one of the best games ever because it has a fishing minigame. Well, we know why Grums has an issue with Ghost of Yotei having minigames, and it's because the main character is a woman that doesn't have giant tits or a giant ass, unlike Stellar Blade, so we know why he doesn't like it. But moving on from that, we have this really weird tweet for some reason of someone trying to show a clip of Atsu, the main character, rolling around in water and not getting wet. And you can very clearly see in the clip that Atsu's clothes are indeed getting wet. And then someone had to quote tweet him with a response in a video clip of him, of their character in different series of clothing also getting wet, further showing that the game does have the mechanic of the fact that if you roll around in water, your character does get wet. And I responded this to one of K-Med's tweets, and he had quote tweeted the tweet about the character not being able to get wet, and I was like, yeah, he's probably really used to that. But that's besides the point. Then there was this VTuber. I'm not gonna harken on this all too much, but I just thought it was weird because I'm reading this and they're like 4 hours into it. I think the part that really just came off as disingenuous with this tweet for me was the fact that they talk about how the game forces you to switch to a weapon against certain enemies. But number one, you don't need to do that. The only thing that you really gain as a bonus for using a particular weapon type, like for an example, I'm going to give an example. The Kusari Gamma in the game is super effective against enemies with a shield. It breaks them super fast, it staggers them very quickly, and that's really the main bonus that you get from using the Kusari Gamma specifically on shielded enemies. It breaks their shields and it staggers them significantly faster. The same thing happens for if you're using a spear or the Yari that it's called in the game, and you're going against enemies with Kusari Gammas or sickles. It's super effective against them. Dual katanas are super effective against other spear users, and katanas are super effective against enemies that are also just regular katana users. That's just how the game works. It's a rock, paper, scissors mechanic that is a returning mechanic from Ghost of Tsushima. And at the very end of the tweet, she actually says that instead of spending $80 on this, just save your money and go buy the original, meaning go buy Ghost of Tsushima. And I couldn't find the tweet, so I'm gonna use this clip from Mighty Keith's video where someone actually showed a clip of her saying that she didn't actually play Ghost of Tsushima.
Later on, somewhere in here, she does go off and talk about how the game is AAA slop, and so now you kind of start to break down, okay, so it wasn't real. Say, like, if you don't like Ghost of Tsushima, that's fine. Calling it AAA slop is a little, maybe there's something else hidden in there. Okay, yeah, here it is.
Oh, I'm already dead. Great. Oh, damn. I never finished Ghost of Tsushima. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't play Ghost of Tsushima.
So they say they didn't play Ghost of Tsushima, but they're telling other people to go replay Ghost of Tsushima. And the reason is because of the same combat structure and PlayStation controller gimmicks, which are present in the first one. So I'm like, well, then that doesn't make any sense, right? So what's the real reason why you don't like this game? But yeah, moving on.
I don't know why she's complaining about this whole rock, paper, scissors mechanic when this was in Ghost of Tsushima, which, by the way, to finish my last point that I was talking about, you don't even need to specifically use a particular weapon against certain enemies. If you don't want to do that and you just want to rock around with dual katanas the entire game, you can do that. You're gonna struggle, to be fair, because it's easier to stagger enemies significantly faster when using the proper weapon that you're supposed to be using. But if you just want to run around with dual katanas the entire game because you just love dual katanas so much, you can do that. And then she also complains about the gimmicks and mini games. I already talked about that before. Yeah, just, it was a really weird tweet. I'm not gonna harken on this anymore because, the whole tweet is very disingenuous, and ultimately it is just her opinion, and she doesn't seem like someone who's trying to bank off of the anti-woke grift, or at least I don't think so. I would hope not. I want to wrap up the video really quick with some kind of lightning round videos and tweets that I had saw on Twitter. And we have Learning the Law, or Manga Lawyer, on Twitter, and he shows a video clip of Sekiro, and he's comparing it to the gameplay of Ghost of Yotei, to a response on Synth Potato's video showing some gameplay of Ghost of Yotei. It wasn't really anything spectacular from Synth Potato. It was just him throwing bombs at a bear. It was kind of funny. But then Manga Lawyer decides to go ahead and show a gameplay segment from someone else's video of modded Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. And if you have played any amount of Sekiro, you would already be able to tell that Sekiro does not play like this in any way whatsoever. And like I said, this was someone else's video. So I want to give a shout out, and I'm going to leave this in the description down below for you to go check out, to Rotomatic. This was the original video that was taken from Manga Lawyer on Twitter to use as a disingenuous argument to show and prove that Ghost of Yotei's gameplay is not very good and something like Sekiro is significantly better. Delusional Takes, ironically enough, has a delusional take by trying to say that Ghost of Yotei looks like a PS3 game. It's just not. If you've played the game at all, you would be able to fucking tell. because you're obviously not going to be able to tell the quality of the game from a screenshot on Twitter, especially on Twitter where it has insane compression. Go play it for yourself, or go see some 4K footage on YouTube, because that exists somewhere. You can find it. The game looks amazing, immaculate, beautiful, significant steps up from Ghost of Tsushima. We have GTA 6 Countdown, and I don't think they meant to use this as a way to say oh, RDR2 better, blah, blah, blah. I think they just wanted to show the different animations of walking on ice. But this further kind of brings up the argument that people have been bringing about over the past couple of years of comparing every single game to Red Dead Redemption 2. And especially in this context as well, where RDR2 had a significantly higher budget, hundreds of $1 million worth in budget, whereas Ghost of Yotei had around, I believe, 60 million, which is around the same price of what Ghost of Tsushima was. So it's not going to get every little detail down like how RDR2 did, especially considering the fact that RDR2 was much longer in development and, like I said, had a bigger budget. So unfair comparisons. The last thing I want to talk about for this video is this clip from Asmongold on his live stream, and I think this was the thing that sparked the need for me personally to want to make this video. And it's the fact that he's talking about the employee that worked at Sucker Punch that had made their comments about Charlie Kirk and had gotten fired. And he talks about how if they eventually get a new job, he's going to make another video talking about the employee who worked at Sucker Punch previously and contact their employer. And why is he doing that? Because he thinks it'll be funny and for fun.
I made a video about them, and it turns out that they got fired. They got fired from their job. Too bad, huh? Wow. What a shame for you. And also, here's the important thing, okay? I want to make sure that people remember this, is that eventually you'll get a new job. And when you do, I might just make another video and contact that employer too. Now, why would I do that? For fun. I enjoy it. I like it. It's a nice pastime for me. Fuck them. That's why. Yeah, make an example about them. Yeah, exactly. That's it.
It rubbed me the wrong way because at this point, this isn't about something that they had said. Well, actually, it is about something that they said. But this isn't about them seeking consequences for their actions. They already received the consequences for their actions when they had gotten fired from their job. Their job that they had been working for over 10 years, by the way. This isn't about that, right? This isn't about someone suffering from the consequences of their actions and for something that they said. This is, number one, stalking, because you're talking about how you're going to pay attention to them and see whenever they get a new job, or whenever they get their new job, whenever they go work at a new studio. But it's also harassment, but also it's just, you're further showing that this is always about politics. And I'm pretty sure that Asmongold is a part of the crowd of people that talks about how they hate how politics is in gaming, and politics is always constantly forced into games. And this further shows and proves that they don't care if politics are in gaming, they just care if it's not politics that cater to what they personally view. It's not their politics that are being pushed into gaming. It's politics that they don't agree with, that they don't like. So yeah, this just rubbed me the wrong way, so I felt the need to want to talk about it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of the hate so far for Ghost of Yotei that hasn't even been out for a week. It's going to be out for a week this Thursday, I believe. And I'm not done with it yet. I am about halfway through the game, I would like to say. I'm pretty close to the end, to be honest. And I have been really enjoying my time. I've posted some video clips. I've posted some screenshots of the photo mode stuff that I've been doing. If you want to go check out my Twitter and see some of that stuff and some of my impressions, especially centering around gameplay, combat, and stealth, I just recently made a tweet talking about that. So if you want to go see my thoughts and opinions about that, please go do so. So yeah, that's pretty much it though. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like. If you want to see more, please be sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.